Hello, welcome. I'm Jack and I'm here with a fun topic. This is going to be a little introduction video for my OC project where I talk a bit about how it's going to work and what it's going to consist of. I figured it might be a good idea to talk about it as a whole after I finished introducing all the characters in separate videos. I'm very passionate about my little guys, so I apologize in advance if I start, vibrating with excitement. I'm an artist who loves to design characters and write stories. It's a very big hobby of mine and takes up, the majority of my brain. I can't do nothing else. Sometimes I like to give myself prompts or concepts to work with for designing characters. The prompt for these characters was colors. Then I got extremely attached and was like, I want to share these characters with an audience. So then I got the idea of making this a real series where I can actually share my writing. So what am I talking about? I got a project I'm working on called Spectrum. That is how that is read. Spectrum is a series that is going to be semi-styled like a visual novel, with character sprites for visuals and text boxes for dialogue. But instead of it being a game, it's going to be a series of videos on YouTube uploaded in episodes. The series consists of 10 characters who may or may not like each other. It depends on who you ask. The characters connect through a weird web of overlaps, but ultimately everybody talks to everybody to some extent. The story is about the fun antics the characters get up to, as they are a very colorful cast, no pun intended. Although I've done videos talking about each character individually, I'll give you a brief overview of everybody for you here. With that being said, let me show you my sillies. As previously stated, the main idea behind these designs is that they're themed around colors. Each character represents a different color of the rainbow, along with a few extras. All of their names are their hues or values, so they're easy to remember. I'll go down the lineup in order. First is Red. He's the closest thing to a quote-unquote main character you'll get, as there technically isn't one. He is a mischievous demon from the demon world who likes to cause problems on purpose just to see where it'll get him. He thinks it's fun to mess around and provoke people because he likes seeing how they react to his nonsense. He's also a notoriously flirty guy who will make dirty comments to literally anyone. He will take any opportunity he can to make a horny joke. Despite being chaotic and annoying, he's a pretty decent guy and knows how to behave when it's necessary. He just chooses not to for fun. Second is Orange. He's a fun DJ whose entire personality is music, as expected from someone who mixes for parties and events as his full-time job. He's very friendly and easy to talk to. He tends to keep the group under control a lot of the time. He keeps things from getting too crazy. Although he is very social, he is pretty romantically inexperienced and is very easily flustered. He's a big fan of this mascot called Tortinge and is very passionate about her. He's just a funky guy with a sweet tooth. Also, he's an orange. Third is Yellow. He's a very excitable guy with a lot of energy to spare. He loves to talk to people and does whatever he can to find excuses to get out of the house. His favorite place to go is the mall. It's practically his default place to be. He loves his friends more than anything and is very attached to them, probably more than he should be. Because he's from the moon, he loves space and anything to do with it. He collects trinkets related to space and string lights. He's very into a music group called Tie 5 and supports them as a huge fan. Fourth is Green. He's a stern hummingbird who's a little difficult to talk to at times. He has very strong beliefs and stands his ground no matter how much you argue with him. He has particularly strong opinions about romance. He thinks it's wrong and shouldn't be acted upon. Anything that even hints at relationships will upset him. Despite this, it isn't hard to fluster or embarrass him, as he has a very active imagination. He loves flowers and gardening, and he reads a lot in his spare time. He's got a plethora of chronic issues that make everyday tasks difficult for him, and the others regularly step up to help him out. This is where a lot of the characters find themselves interacting with each other. Fifth is Blue. He's a very sad guy with very low self-esteem. He's awkward and doesn't talk much because he doesn't think he's worth anybody's time. Despite keeping to himself and never initiating conversation, he's pretty nice and always listens when you talk to him. He tends to just sit nearby while the other characters do their chaotic shit until he inevitably gets roped into it somehow. Although he's very sad, he does have some hobbies. He's very fond of reptiles because he's a lizard. What he loves most is dinosaurs, and he collects stuff related to them like books, figures, and plushies. Sixth is Violet. He's a prince in a family of beetles who thinks very highly of himself. He has very high standards and sees common folk as beneath him. He's not exactly mean, but he's not nice either. He's just stuck up and annoying. He spends a lot of his free time sewing clothes for himself, sometimes going to the park to hand stitch. He hates how chaotic the group can be and dreads their nonsense, but he tends to find himself getting involved in one way or another. He has his specific people he gets along with, but other than them, he either tolerates you or can't stand you. 7th is Brown. He's a chill dude overall that doesn't really talk a whole lot. He doesn't engage much with the group and just sorta listens from afar. He's the kind of guy to step in when things get out of hand, but otherwise he's not really involved. He likes to go to the gym or take walks to get his energy out on his own. He spends most of his time by himself, so not much is known about his personal life. He's the only character who lives in the woods. He's a deer. He's a big guy, but he's a gentle giant. 8th is White. He's a kind-hearted fox who wouldn't hurt a fly. He's very soft-spoken and gets nervous talking to people, but he's kind and isn't even capable of being mean. Even though he's very socially anxious and has trouble keeping up with conversations, he likes being around the other characters to listen to them talk. He's a little overworked and is always tired, but he does his best to keep up. He likes to decorate things with lace, rhinestones, and stickers in his free time. When he's not working, he's usually happily helping Green as his caregiver. 9th is Gray. He's a hard-headed little bastard that's very hard to hold a conversation with. He argues with you about everything and shuts down people's attempts to socialize with him instantly. He doesn't like talking to people and hates when the group drags him in the shit. Even though he's obnoxious about talking to people, he's actually not that bad once you get to know him. No one is supposed to know, but he's an artist and regularly draws and paints in his free time. He's called a quote-unquote home appliance by the others because he's built with the functions of an air conditioner or fan, a heater, an iron, and a humidifier. And 10th is Pink. He's just a silly little guy. He's a fun mannequin who loves to be social and hang out with people. He's always on his feet looking for something to do and travels frequently. He's got a lot of trouble staying still, so he moves around a lot. He doesn't really live anywhere, so he hops between friends' houses. He spends the least amount of time with the group because of that. But when he is around, he's just there for a good time. He loves video games and regularly hits up arcades. He's low-key a slut, but we don't talk about that. So yeah, that's the lineup. They all have different connections to each other and met in different places at different times. By the time the story starts, they've all known each other for at least a few years. So how do they get along? There's what I like to call the warm trio, Red, Orange, and Yellow, who are very close. The three of them are good friends and hang out all the time. They vibe. Orange and Yellow are roommates and share an apartment.
And they were roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
They met in high school. Green and White are incredibly close. As previously mentioned, White is Green's caregiver, so naturally they get along well. They met at their current job back when the two of them still worked in person. Now they both work from home, and it's part of White's job to take care of Green. They are also roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
They would kill for each other, do not separate them. Blue and Gray are close, despite both being very not social people. They get along and bond over not wanting to be dragged into the other's chaos. Blue is the only one besides Green and White that Gray is willing to visit, and Gray is the only person besides Green and White that Blue is willing to visit. Speaking of, Blue is also friends with White. They met in high school and bonded over being the quiet ones. They've been close ever since. Yellow and Gray are sorta friends, not really. Yellow thinks they're friends, Gray thinks Yellow is annoying, extrovert and his introvert. Gray is not close to Violet despite sharing a house with them.
Oh my god,
They argue constantly. Violet is on good terms with Green and White. Green is the person he's closest to. They have boring, formal conversations. White has a strong fascination with Violet, but doesn't really know why. And for the other two, Brown isn't close to anyone, but he's probably closest to Green. He never minds helping Green with work. Pink is closest to Red, and high-key thirsts over him. Relatable. And Red is very into Blue, not reciprocated. So basically how the story works is Green works as what is called a gatherer for a magical natural resources company. He gathers materials usually from the woods and writes reports about the characteristics of them. Those resources are then sent to another department at his job who does things like harvest magic, clone resources to make copies to replace in its environment, and do research about the materials and the environments they come from. Resources can include things like crystals and stones, flowers and other plants, or nectar and sap. Because of Green's physical condition, he has special permission to get help with the gathering part of his job as long as he does the reports himself. And that's how a lot of the character interactions go down. They meet up at Green and White's house to help Green with the work, then they hang around. They also help Green with other errands just to be nice. Sometimes the characters meet up there even when they don't have anything to take care of, just out of habit. So a lot of the fun nonsense happens there. Most of the other characters have their own jobs, so their schedules are kind of all over the place, but that just means you get to see fun character combinations. Their world is left pretty vague on purpose. It isn't specified whether or not they live on Earth. It's implied there are other worlds and realms where other species reside, but they're not all relevant to the characters. The only other world that's ever really relevant is the previously mentioned demon world where Red is from. He travels between the two worlds every now and then, usually just to visit friends or pick up temporary part-time work to save up money, which he is able to use in the other world as well. It is possible to create your own realms, though you have to be pretty good with magic to do it. Usually these isolated realms exist in a void somewhere. They can't be exited or entered from the outside, you can only teleport to them. That is how Red lives. He's the only one with magic strong enough to do this because demons are naturally good with magic. Blue, violet, brown, white, and pink also have pretty strong magic, but they all use it in different ways. In their story, not everyone is capable of using magic, but it is pretty common. Being as strong as Red isn't common, which is partly why I consider him to be the closest thing to a main character there is in this story. Him being good with magic makes him extra relevant. Anyone who uses magic has a pendant they have within them. You can summon it whenever to carry it. It basically represents the person's ability to use magic. Pendants can take on many different shapes and colors, but this is what the pendants of the characters look like. I like to use the pendant as a heart icon emote in the series, so everyone has one, including the ones that say they can't use magic. So, the name Spectrum is pretty self-explanatory. Their colors, the visible light spectrum, whatever. It's a given. But I know you're probably wondering why the hell it looks like that, so I'll explain it. Basically, 2b6cflnw is a code name, and it's not nearly as complicated as it looks. The original logo for Spectrum looked like this, so it was just the word Spectrum with a period at the end. The code name came about when I decided to mirror it. 2b6cflnw is how the logo looks when it's turned upside down and flipped, so those are the characters for the title. The full logo picture looks like this, which shows the reflection of the logo so you can see that it actually is made up of the word Spectrum. Now I know what you're thinking, oh, Spectrum, huh? Are there any characters on the Spectrum? Haha, very funny. To answer your question, yes, there are two. That's part of why they work so well together. They help accommodate each other and tend to each other's needs. One is diagnosed and aware, and the other isn't. This is relevant to their stories and does come up sometimes. Also, White happens to be on the Ace spectrum as well. But yeah, that's my lovely project. It's been a lot of work trying to get everything I need together since I'm working alone. I had to do the full body sprites and all the expressions, I needed a good number of simple backgrounds, and I needed to make music for each character as well as some other songs. It's taken me like a year to get where I'm at now. But I'm finally just about ready to start putting the episodes together. I only have a couple more things to take care of. Editing the videos so far has been tedious as hell, but I know it'll be worth it. Hopefully episode 1 will be done soon after this video goes up, but I make no promises. So if you're interested in the series, then stick around for episode 1. After episode 1 is finished, I'm going to upload a series of Q&A videos for all of the characters where they all answer the same questions about themselves. It's just a fun little way to get to know them better, especially when the answers are coming from the characters themselves. So thanks for making it this far and listening to me talk about my obsession. It means a lot to me, and the idea that someone might be interested in it makes me ecstatic. I'll do what I can to make some progress soon, and hopefully I'll see you around. Take care, stay safe.